Since the sudden rise in 2012, how have hate crimes on disabled children had to do with race, and how has this physically and mentally affected them and their families? Catherine A. Marshall, who has worked for more than 30 years in the area of disability, stated that 10 U.S. studies have been conducted on connection between bullying and developmental disabilities, and all these studies have found that children with disability are 2 to 3 times more likely to be bullied than their non-disabled peers. Attacks lately are increasingly violent and have been happening far more often than ever before. A reporter for the British Broadcasting Corporation, who frequently visits the topic for disabled kids, stated that overall the number of disability hate crimes increased 101% from 2015 to 2017, but the crimes against children are increasing at an even greater rate. The incidents reported to police range from verbal abuse to physical attacks, and if nothing is done to stop this, the uncontrolled bullying is exactly what we're leading our disabled children into. Images and mass media shape the way in which general population perceives disabled people's lives. Sue Ralph, a professor at the University of Northampton who researches implications things have on disableds, stated, "They are agents in the social construction of reality. The media that disabled people are defined by their impairment." Throughout the paper, she also talks about how they are portrayed as a defective and worthless status. The media also uses the term hate crime very freely and falsely, depicts to many people what it actually is. It turns out that it's not just the media confusing this term. According to Michael Shively, an author with a PhD associated with Centers for Crime and Drug Policies, the federal government and all but one state have specific hate crime laws. The laws vary significantly from state to state, however, there's no standard legal definition of what a hate crime is. One of the more well-known personal examples of the hate crime is toward a disabled kid that had race involved with the motive of the attack. The article, which was written by Margaret Carlson, who was an American journalist, also the first woman reporter for Time magazine. Carlson stated, "The developmentally challenged so crave kindness they make inviting prey." The victim was taken to an apartment where he was tied up, punched, kicked. His mouth was taped shut, and his skull was sliced open with a knife. Many of these kids don't realize the effect they are leaving when these attacks are carried out in the manner that they have been. The sister of the victim harped throughout the article, "My parents didn't trust babysitters or other kids anymore, so childhood and my parents' time have been taken away." These attacks against children K through 12 with disabilities can be lessened through professionals that work in hate crime fields and kids with disabilities trying to feel accepted with the disadvantages they are given, providing the assemblies such as the San Fernando Hate Crime Alliance, the implementation of NGOs, and Safe Space and Active. Solutions not looked upon enough is implementing a way to help improve the recording of hate crimes. If crimes are not recorded, it allows authorities to believe or assert that there are no hate crimes occurring. NGOs can monitor the overall incident of hate crimes. By monitoring and reporting hate crimes, NGOs can identify trends and take action in individual cases. By providing this type of information, it allows authorities to locate trends and learn of new ways to put a stop to these crimes. Some people may argue that these allow the trends see patterns, but the crimes will not help eliminate racial attacks that are happening. But to confront the problem, local and national authorities and the public need to know the real nature and extent and the threat that the problem poses to society. A solution that has worked is the San Fernando Hate Crime Alliance. The events developed constructive dialogue between the community and the law enforcement about hate crimes and prevention. In addition, the Alliance also has speakers of the Bureau of Law Enforcement officials, educators, and human relations experts who talk to students and communities about the hate acts. The Alliance works to establish a hotline for reporting hate crimes. If the kids and people are properly informed of the consequences of these crimes, how it affects the victims, and shown how they are not really different from us, studies show that the chances of the attacks decrease. Safe Space and Active could prove as a way to solve the problem people are faced with. The meaning of safe space refers to a room where people, usually gay, transgender, and disabled people, can discuss problems they shared shelter attacks. Lisa Kaczynski, a reporter for the Eagle Tribune, reported many personal cases about Safe Space and Active that has helped children. One example is Layden Chappie, about 15 months old, after developing at the same rate as other younger kids. Layden started to show signs associated with autism spectrum disorder. Although this may seem like an unfortunate event, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention estimated that 1 in every 68 children has identified with an autism spectrum disorder, and it and it is about 4.5 times more common in boys and girls. The Safe Space and Active has really helped develop of him and his peers in school. Len's parents stated it really gives him a place to cool off when he feels overloaded. Some people say that Safe Space did not actually prevent the attacks from happening, but it does give the kids a place they can go if they feel uncomfortable, and by having a place to go once the kids sense an attack, the crimes decrease considerably. The best solution is Safe Space and Active. If people and kids are properly informed on how these spaces can act, such as positive and a kid's bad, as well as how hate crimes affected victims, and shown how the victims are not really different from us, possibilities and probabilities of these attacks will decrease or seem less harmful and effective demean these kids and their families. Limitations are, even though we can try hard to inform everybody on the positivities of the diversity as well as the negatives that come from these attacks, we cannot prevent every individual from not attacking these disabled children. Funding by schools, communities to support these programs need to happen because kids with disabilities are not only being attacked because of the disadvantage they already have, but racial issues also proceed within these attacks, which not only brings crime charges along with these actions, but physically and mentally takes a toll on these kids and their families.
Okay, and then what evidence did you gather that you didn't use, and why did you choose not to use it?
Evidence that I gathered were attacks that happened on college campuses against disabled people. There was a lot of evidence on this and how things are solutions to stop this, but it would not have been a very good piece for my argument since it was K through 12 children.
What advice would you give for other researchers who consider this topic?
Advice I would give is to find personal examples because it really helps you follow the everyday changes that these attacks make to these kids' families and their selves.